What if I told you that a bunch of things you believe, like sugar making kids hyper, or humans only using 10% of their brains, are completely wrong? Today we're breaking down 10 everyday myths that have somehow stuck around despite being debunked by science years ago. These aren't obscure facts from textbooks. These are things your parents told you, your teachers believed, and you probably still think are true. But here's the kicker. The truth is not only different, it's way more interesting.
Let's dive in and clear up the confusion, once and for all.
1. Sugar makes kids hyper. Spoiler: it doesn't. Parents love to blame sugar for their kids bouncing off the walls at birthday parties.
Cupcakes, soda, candy, instant chaos, right?
Actually, no. Multiple double-blind studies, where neither the kid nor the parent knew who got real sugar, found zero difference in behavior. What changed?
The parent's perception.
If they thought their child had sugar, they watched more closely and interpreted normal behavior as hyper. This is called the expectancy effect. Our expectations influence what we think we see. Let's be real. Kids are energetic. Put them in a room with balloons, music, and 10 friends, and they'll be wild whether they ate cake or broccoli. Takeaway: sugar isn't the villain. Our assumptions are. 2. No, you don't only use 10% of your brain. This myth is Hollywood gold. Movies like Limitless and Lucy are built on the idea that we're only tapping into a tiny sliver of our brain's potential. But neuroscientists would like a word. Modern brain scans show activity all over the brain, even when we're resting or sleeping. Your brain's firing on all cylinders, processing thoughts, regulating organs, managing emotions, 24/7. Even minor damage to small brain areas can have major effects. If we really only used 10%, evolution would have trimmed the rest long ago. So where did the myth come from? Likely a misquote of a 19th century psychologist saying we don't live up to our potential, which someone misunderstood as only using 10% of our brains. Brain fun fact: the brain is only 2% of your body weight but burns about 20% of your energy. It's like having a supercomputer running in your skull, even when you're just binge-watching Netflix.
3. A penny from a skyscraper won't kill you.
You've heard this one. Drop a penny from the top of the Empire State Building and it'll hit the ground with skull-cracking force. But physics says otherwise. Thanks to air resistance, a penny reaches terminal velocity, about 25 miles per hour, pretty quickly. And because it's flat and light, it tumbles through the air like a leaf, not a bullet.
If it hits you,
it'll feel more like an annoying flick than a fatal strike. In fact, a falling pen is more dangerous. Pens are aerodynamic and can stay on trajectory. But even then, you're more likely to get startled than seriously injured. Bottom line, most common sense facts haven't actually been tested, they just sound true.
4. Lightning absolutely strikes the same place twice.
You've probably heard the saying, lightning never strikes the same place twice. Guess what? It absolutely does. Tall buildings like the Empire State Building are hit dozens of times a year. Lightning seeks the fastest route to the ground, and tall metal structures are basically flashing targets. There's even a man, Roy Sullivan, who was struck by lightning 7 times and lived to tell the tale. People literally avoided him during storms out of fear he'd attract lightning again.
Lesson here.
Don't rely on old sayings for survival advice. Stick to science. 5. Vikings didn't wear horned helmets. The image of a fierce Viking in a horned helmet?
Totally made up.
No historical evidence shows Vikings wearing those in battle. The horned helmet idea came from 19th century opera costume designers who thought it looked cool on stage. Real Viking helmets were practical, rounded or conical, sometimes with a nose guard, and made to protect, not impress. Some ceremonial helmets with horns have been found, but they predate Vikings by over 1,000 years and were likely used in rituals. Shield moral of the story: just because something looks historical in movies doesn't mean it ever existed in history. 6. Shaving doesn't make hair thicker or darker. This one just won't die. Shaving makes your hair grow back thicker, faster, and darker. Nope. Shaving cuts hair at the surface, creating a blunt tip. That blunt edge makes the hair feel stiffer as it grows back, but it's not actually thicker. Multiple studies have proven that shaving doesn't change the color, texture, or growth rate of hair. Your DNA determines all of that. Think about it. If shaving made hair grow faster, balding guys would have figured that out a long time ago. Truth. It's the feel, not the fact, that fuels this myth. 7. It's safe to swim after eating. Wait 30 minutes before swimming or you'll cramp and drown. Sound familiar? It's been a staple of beach trips and summer camps forever. But there's no scientific basis for it. The idea was that digestion pulls blood away from your arms and legs, making you more likely to cramp. But your body can handle both at once. There are 0 documented cases of someone drowning because they swam after eating. At worst, you might feel a little sluggish if you just downed a huge meal. In fact, competitive swimmers eat between sets all the time. Takeaway: that old rule? Outdated.
Swim smart, not scared.
8. You don't lose most of your heat through your head.
You'll catch a cold if you don't wear hat.
This myth came from a military experiment where soldiers wore full cold weather gear but left their heads exposed. Surprise! Most heat escaped through their heads, because that was the only uncovered part. In reality, heat loss depends on how much skin is exposed. Your head is about 10% of your body's surface area, so it loses about 10% of your heat, not 50%. That said, babies and toddlers have larger heads relative to their bodies, so the advice makes more sense for them. Bottom line: keep your whole body covered in cold weather. Don't just throw on a beanie and call it a day. 9. Goldfish actually have good memory. The idea that goldfish only remember things for 3 seconds?
Total nonsense.
Goldfish have been trained to navigate mazes, recognize human faces, and even tell different pieces of music apart. Some studies show they can remember things for months. They're smarter than we give them credit for, and they're certainly not swimming around thinking every lap is brand new. Tropical fish fun fact: some goldfish can be trained to swim through hoops or ring a bell for food. Not bad for an animal with a brain the size of a pea. 10. Swallowed gum doesn't stay in your stomach for 7 years. Here's a classic. Swallow gum, and it'll sit in your stomach for 7 years. Relax. That's not how digestion works. While it's true that gum isn't digestible, it still moves through your digestive tract and comes out the other end in about a day or 2, just like corn. Unless you're swallowing massive amounts of gum every day, please don't. Your body's natural systems will handle it just fine. Light bulb real concern: gum sticks around longer on sidewalks than it does inside you. So maybe don't spit it out in public. Final thoughts. Let's bust more myths. So, how many of these myths did you believe? We all fall for them, because they're repeated so often, they feel like truth. But when we dig deeper, reality is usually more interesting, and sometimes weirder, than fiction. The real lesson here isn't just about gum or goldfish, it's about learning to think critically, question what we're told, and ask, wait, is that actually true? Thanks for watching. If you found this helpful, hit that like button and share it with someone who still thinks Vikings wore horns. And hey, drop a comment below with the myth that surprised you the most.
I'll be reading everyone.